Guys, Jeremy here with Simple Little Life, and I apologize for the lack of videos lately. I've just been swamped with knives and we're getting like fencing done out in our fields so we can get our cows put to pasture. They're getting bigger. They need to be out there soon, so there's been so much going on, and the videos have kind of taken a back seat, and I apologize for that. The last few days I've hardly even turned on my computer. I can't even respond to comments. I've just been so busy. Last night I was heat treating out here till like 11:30 at night, so finally getting caught up on some of the stuff, and I just thought I'd take a quick video to show you an update. Show you my belt grinder set up the way I kind of have it right now, as well as a few other tools. So let's just head right to the back. And here it is. Now this stand that I got was actually a pedestal grinder stand that my brother-in-law was throwing out, and probably like a week before I got my belt grinder, he called me up and said, "Hey, do you want this stand?" And I was like, sure. Didn't know I was getting a belt grinder at the time, but I grabbed it and it turned out sweet. So I had to re-weld that on because it was kind of welded crooked. It bugged me. And then I made my motor mount. I need a better motor for that. This is not a TEFC, totally enclosed fan cooled motor. I need to get one of those because this thing's going to die in short order with all these grindies going on. But that's all they had at Princess Auto when I was there, and I wanted to get this thing running. So I just have it wired up with this is actually an emergency stop button. I don't know if it's rated for the kind of amperage that I'm running through here, but whatever, it's working so far. This was all leftover cables, strain reliefs, everything was like stuff that I've saved from old airport jobs that I was on when we'd be throwing out equipment. I'd just save a few of these random parts and pieces, and they come in handy sometimes. Also, I welded on like a heavier plate. He had a real thin plate on there, so I welded on a 1/2-inch plate and then this little bracket to mount this to. Simple single speed drive on there right now, and this thing's fantastic. I love it. One other thing I did, when you buy these, you get one toolbar, at least the kit that I bought, you have one toolbar for your platen and your contact wheel. So I went to metal supermarkets. I've talked about them before and in comments where you can buy tool steel. And I just got a piece of 1.5 by 1.5 hot rolled bar stock. Looking back, maybe I should have gone cold rolled because it would look a little bit better, but this works just as well. I drilled it out, drilled and tapped it 1/2-inch national course for my contact wheel to thread into, and then I also drilled 3/8 so that I can mount my tool rest on there. And this makes it nice because to change between your contact wheel and your platen, it's just a matter of loosening this off, sliding it out. I'm going to mount a piece of square tubing down there, probably weld it to the side of the wall, and that way I can just store whatever I'm not using in there, pull it out, put it in, and you're good to go. Also, I'm going to get another tool rest made up just because it'd be nice to have leave one on each setup. So one thing that I picked up when I bought the belt grinder were these. They're kind of like Scotch-Brite belts. Now these are quite pricey. I believe these are like $26 if I'm correct, but they are incredible for putting a finish on your blades. After heat treating, you want to get that nice finish. I can do one knife in less than a minute on here. And before, I was hand sanding my finishes to like 400 or 600 grit, and it would take me at least 20 minutes per blade. This is less than a minute, so definitely see value in this, even though they're expensive. I probably ran this for about 1.5 hours of actual use time, and it's still working great. Still has a lot of grip to it and a lot of grit, so I think these are going to be well worth it. And then another belt that I picked up when I bought my grinder just to try were these ceramic belts, and they say that these can last 10 times longer than the aluminum oxide belts. Now if that's the case, these are about $11 and these are about $4. Obviously, if you can get 10 times the life out of these, this is going to be the more economical way to go. They like to run quicker than aluminum oxide. I think right now I have this thing at 3,600 surface feet per minute, if that sounds right. I don't know off the top of my head. I did the math when I was figuring it all out. I believe it's 3,600 surface feet per minute. But anyways, so really enjoying this belt. I've got 10 knives that I've ground on this, and it's still hogs material off like a rocket. It is very fast. So that's pretty much the update on the belt grinder. That was my old drill press. Nothing wrong with it, still works great, but I decided to get rid of it in favor of my milling machine. Now this is just a little Craftex CX600, small little unit, but I've had this one for about 2 years, and when we had moved I put it in storage, and I thought, you know what, it's time to bring it out again. This thing actually drills holes better than that big honking thing. It's a little more rigid, it's easier to clamp them in here, in and out, and with the variable speed on this thing, you know, you can turn it really nice and slow, or you can crank it up. It has your speed readout up there, and I just really like this thing. If you want to, obviously it opens up a lot of different options too for scales. I'm going to try doing some different finishes and treatments to scale material, and also instead of drilling all the little holes in the handle, I can just hollow out the center of the handle, and it's a lot cleaner. And I'm just really happy with this thing. Something that I've been thinking about bringing out here. Wasn't sure about it, but I decided I would. I just had to make a little tiny bench for it to stand on, and it's plenty sturdy there. So that's a really cool little update in the shop here. Really happy about that. Finally got around to building a little stand for the controls for my other belt grinder. Obviously this was a treadmill, and I just kept the original controls. That way I have all my speed controls. Obviously your incline, you don't use that, you don't hook up those wires, but really great way to go. And you know, you hit start. If I want to just have this thing running way too fast, you can just hit it up to 10 miles an hour. The most I ever go for grinding is like 5, and that is really quick. I'm going to keep this grinder set up for woods and handle materials. This one goes nice and slow, and I think I can get away with keeping this a single speed, primarily because I'm going to use this just for my heavy work. When I really need to hog stuff off. Eventually I would like to get a VFD for this unit, but it's not huge on the priority list right now, especially when I've got this one right beside it and I can run this nice and slow. So that's kind of the plan. I'll keep this one for all my handles, scales, and stuff like that. And it also works well on my spindle sander right beside it. Kind of works together. And then there's my main work beast. And then the last tool that I've recently set up for the shop was this. 15-inch wood bandsaw. This is a Craft-X again. I bought this used. Actually, the gentleman that owned this before me, his brother is the bass player for the Roadhammers, a country music band. You may have heard of them. But he built 2 of their bass guitars on this bandsaw. So I thought that was kind of cool. Got a pretty good deal on it. And the guy that had this before me was really tall, and you can see right here he had this stand made up, and I would say that's a good 10, maybe a foot off the ground. And I'm 6'2", and you can see where this comes on me. It's pretty high. I thought I liked it that high, and I used it for a few hours yesterday, and it's actually too high. I'm gonna have to lower it a bit, but really nice to have this for cutting out my scales. Here are what I do, 8 sets of scales yesterday in about an hour, 15 minutes, and much quicker. Before I was cutting these out all by hand, and that's a labor of love, but really speeds up the process. And here's some of the knives I have. I've got 5 of these on the works right now. These just finished heat treating last night, and I'm doing a hollow grind on these ones now, and I think it's turning out pretty good. Really liking using that contact wheel for hollow grinds. And I got some bushcrafters. Decided to bring out my sandblaster and do a try blasted finish after the heat treating, and it turned out pretty good. Still need to fix that sandblaster a little bit. It has some issues. That's it under there, my little blast cabinet. But it'll be nice to have that all set up, and I think the shop is set up fairly well, and it's been a lot of work. I kind of gotta be careful because you can spend forever setting up your shop and less time actually building things or making things in it. So it's a bit of a balance. You need to get efficient, you need to have a good setup, but you also need to get work done. So that's what I've been doing for the last week, 2 weeks, basically just cranking out as many knives, basically just catching up on knife orders, and then trying to set this up to make it a little bit more efficient going forward. So anyways guys, I apologize for not putting many videos up or even responding to comments lately. I've just been slam busy. I'm gonna catch up this weekend on all the comments, get this video up, and then I might do like a 7-day vlog challenge. I like those challenges, they're kind of fun. And maybe next week just force myself to vlog every day and include a lot of the knife making stuff that I'm doing in that vlog. I'm not sure if there'll be much interest in that or not, but kind of an idea. Anyways guys, that's a quick little update for you, and thank you for watching. Cheers.